Ferrari in the first two free practice sessions for the Mexican Grand Prix, the 20th round of the 2024 Formula One Championship, seems to have picked up where it left off last Sunday in Texas. This first day of the Central American weekend was dedicated to young drivers and Pirelli testing. An unusual start for the engineers, who could not collect all the useful data in view of this important race weekend for the championship standings. The SF-24 appeared solid and well-balanced, with a race pace better than its competitors, giving clear signals ahead of the race. Briefly, let's explain the test conducted by Pirelli yesterday. Each team had at its disposal a tire of a specific compound from 2024 and one from 2025, as can be seen in the following table. The boundary conditions refer to a predetermined average number of laps for dry lap simulations or race pace. Additionally, a specific amount of fuel had to be loaded, 20 kilograms for push laps and 100 kilograms for high fuel tests. For this reason, when we present the data, the picture quite accurately reflects the actual level of competitiveness of the Formula One cars. Furthermore, for greater clarity, we will primarily focus on analyzing the four top teams, indicating only the type of tire used. The telemetry shows that Ferrari limits tire wear, while Red Bull and Mercedes struggled to maintain tires in the window. The data from Ferrari's first stint is very good. On equal compound with Mercedes, as indicated by the telemetry data, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were 1 second faster than Lewis Hamilton. The drivers from the Italian team used a medium compound, which is more suited for long runs this weekend. As indicated by the degradation graph, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz experienced less wear compared to the McLaren duo and Sergio Perez. The Maranello cars appeared well balanced, allowing the Ferrari drivers better temperature management. The Maranello engineers and technicians quickly found a good setup compromise that enabled them to be effective in both terms of end-of-straight speed and agility in the slower parts of the track. Additionally, although the SF-24 is one of the cars with the most airflow outlets on the engine cover, it does not seem to suffer in terms of efficiency. In the third sector, the mechanical grip generated by the tires on the ground, aided by an excellent roll angle, allows the Maranello cars to be among the best. Inside the stadium, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz carried greater speed through the center of the corner, anticipating the throttle input. On the contrary, Red Bull and Mercedes have not found a compromise to keep the tires within the correct operating window. Sergio Perez, in both stints, used a softer compound and experienced the most degradation among the top drivers, struggling already after the fifth lap. Although the C5 tires are not ones we will see in the race, the increase in pace after just a few laps is a warning sign. The 20th Formula One race of the season could be a one-stop race, and each set of tires will need to last at least 25 laps. For Mercedes, we can say that the W15 still suffers from balance issues, which forces the drivers to be slower in the corners. The data from the second run shows more or less unchanged values. McLaren, always at a compound disadvantage, has managed to partially close the gap with Ferrari. The Woking team may have fine-tuned something between the two long runs or chosen to push harder in terms of propulsion. However, considering the shortened stint, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris did not experience such a significant disadvantage using the C5 tire. Doing a quick calculation, if McLaren had also used the medium tire, the papaya-colored cars would have been about 1/2 faster, resulting in an average gap of about 0.4 seconds from Ferrari for each lap. The trend in degradation compared to the first stint does not change. This is related to the overall better average pace from everyone. Despite having loaded 100 kilograms of fuel, the drivers pushed harder, taking advantage of the improving track grip. The greater amount of local grip favored higher accelerations and lateral forces, stressing the tires more and generating wear. Once again, Ferrari drivers are the best at managing tire wear, although the gap to Oscar Piastri in these terms has narrowed. It remains to be seen if today in FP2, more high fuel tests will be conducted to gather even more conclusive data. On the back of this consideration, the idea of seeing a strong Ferrari this weekend in F1 is anything but remote. The men of the prancing horse have only to fine-tune the right details to improve their qualifying performance and maximize the package's potential to achieve victory at the 4.304-kilometer Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. But did Ferrari want to show its strength yesterday? That was not the main goal. The sparkling start comes from the desire to perform well, and the ability of the red car to show up on track already competitive, a characteristic rediscovered after the arrival of the new floor in Monza. But the results were truly encouraging, and according to those directly involved, in this case Carlos Sainz, there is still room for improvement. Ferrari tried to follow the lead set in Austin, studying a base setup that could optimize performance in the medium-slow sections of the track. From this point, as happened in Texas, the historic team sought to improve the car in the faster corners, an area where the red car is not yet at its best. In F1, the word compromise is always present. The red team sought the balance of the car, and between the two sessions yesterday, they achieved the expected competitive step. It was an easier Friday for Sainz, who felt comfortable right away with the SF-24. It was more difficult for Charles, who, in addition to skipping the first free practice session to make way for young promise Oliver Bearman, who was very unlucky with the incident involving Alexander Albon's Williams, struggled with some adaptation issues on the track. Nevertheless, the Monegasque remained very positive in his remarks to the media. The reason is clear. Although the Ferrari driver couldn't fully extract his performance, he still assessed the potential of car number 16. Ferrari brought no updates to Mexico, but continues to push hard. The only novelty for the red team concerns the engine cover. Many shark-like openings to improve cooling. The engineers chose this solution to ensure they could fully benefit from the 0.6612 power unit. All of this without encountering reliability issues that could potentially stop the Italian car on the track. Among other things, the supposed deficit regarding aerodynamic efficiency due to the various elements designed to regulate airflow present on the engine cover seems not to have affected the SF-24's ability to slice through the air, maintaining a very good level of drag. However, it seems much wiser to wait for today's F1 sessions to know more. This is because only when everyone pushes the internal combustion engine to the maximum will we have a certain data point. Ferrari has changed its mentality in various aspects during the current racing campaign. Leclerc has repeatedly emphasized how good Frédéric Vasseur's behind-the-scenes work is within the sports management. It is not just a matter of confidence, but of knowing one's own means. There is also a matter that, for some weeks now, has reached the peak of maturity. We are referring to the desire to give maximum effort in every race. For this reason, qualifying is partially sacrificed to significantly increase the chances of winning on Sunday. The SF-24 is not the best in fast corners and when cornering. But who cares if, over a distance of 300 kilometers, as happened in Austin, it leaves the rest of the competitors behind? The prancing horse has been quite clever in this regard. As we know, having a lot of fuel on board implies managing the tires, a move that effectively lowers cornering speeds, especially in fast corners. On this point, Ferrari has thought to seek an effective base setup. They did this in Texas, where during the race, all the cars had to manage their tires in S1. This element levels the performance in the S's and especially eliminates the performance deficit that the red car suffered in these corners compared to Red Bull and McLaren. An intelligent move that maximizes the red car's performance over the 300 kilometers distance. A form of technical awareness that comes from the recent development experience gained by engineers in F1. Much credit also goes to the Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, who are able to adapt despite having different driving styles, to the characteristics imposed by a more smart setup that is at the same time more complicated in some parts of the track. The path for the Mexican Grand Prix has been drawn. Yesterday, as mentioned, Pirelli played a leading role. Therefore, we await FP3 for more conclusive confirmations on the goodness of the configuration chosen by the red team. The third free practice session where the other teams will also start to get serious, especially Max Verstappen, who was hindered by problems with the power unit yesterday. McLaren remains a very strong car. Moreover, it has installed a new floor modified in various parts. According to the F1 team based in Woking, the macro component reflects the values provided by the simulator on track. This, although at least on the day before yesterday, this supposed competitive step has not yet emerged. Perhaps because the papaya-colored cars have deliberately hidden? Who knows? However, Ferrari does not trust this and rightly so, has worked to take another step forward and support the choices made regarding the setup. Tonight and the end of FP3, we will know more.